welcome. Again, I'm Nick Niehaus. I'm the head trainer of Business Video School. I'm also one of the co-founders here. And what we're going to be talking about today is how to double your lead conversion using video. Some of you probably saw my email about doubling your income. And the reason I said that as well is that, look, the reality is that when you use video, you are having a better kind of conversation with your prospective customers. And so what that means is that you're going to be able to build relationships with people before they ever meet you. You're going to be able to create a bond with somebody before you've ever had a face-to-face conversation. And especially right now, when a lot of your competitors are still dragging their feet, acting like they're not video people, as if we haven't been talking to each other on Zoom through video for the past 2 years, you're going to be able to get out in front of them, get good at these things, and maintain that advantage over the coming years, right? We're in a race at this point. And as this real estate market shifts, it's going to be the agents that are using the most cutting edge forms of technology, but in particular, the most advanced forms of communication that are going to reap the rewards, right? If you have to compare two agents and one of them is communicating with you more effectively, you as a customer are more likely to work with that person. So I want to start out by mentioning that because here's the reality when it comes to video, when it comes to what we're talking about today. If I'm going to make a claim like doubling your lead conversion, I better be able to back that up, right? And so let's get into talking about this. And we're going to sort of throughout the presentation talk about why it is so freaking effective, why it can do something like double or in some cases literally triple your lead conversion and therefore make that much more money off of what you're already doing, right? And I will say that before I talk about the sort of two approaches you see on the screen here is that the key to understand this is that this is the kind of thing that doesn't come along very often, right? When I talk about doubling or tripling lead conversion, I mean, that is an extremely significant change without actually having to put in more effort. The only thing you have to be able to do is to be willing to be on camera. The reason video feels so vulnerable is because it is so powerful, right? It is more vulnerable. It's more realistic. It's more like you're having a face-to-face conversation, and that impact is extremely potent, right? So here's the two ways you can go about doing it. You can either, and then I will say, you can use both of these approaches, okay? So don't feel like you have to pick between them, one or the other. You can use both, but they're going to be sending personalized video messages, right? Which means that you are talking to a single other person. You're probably saying their name. You're incorporating key details that they may have provided to you, such as the kind of house that they're looking for, or if they're listing their home, maybe you're talking to them about some of the details about their home that they shared with you already. That's very powerful, right? That's a very personalized experience. That's the kind of stuff people really love to have. Now, on the other hand, is automating this process. And what that means is that they're going to receive videos from you, but they're not necessarily personalized. In fact, they can't be personalized, right? Now, in another few years, we'll probably have technology where you can create a fake video of yourself and you can say different names depending on who's watching it. Like we do with emails, right? I mean, that's going to come at some point. We know it's coming, but that's not what we're worried about right now, right? That's not here today. So when we do the automated process, the disadvantage of it is that I can't put my personalization into it, right? Now, you can do both. So what I will say is don't worry about the automation unless you have a team or you're doing high volumes, right? Because here's what it comes down to. If I get a lead, and immediately I can call that lead, I can also therefore send a video message to that person, right? In fact, I might be, and this is my personal opinion, I would rather send them a text or email, or ideally both, as soon as I can with a video of myself where I don't have it handy here, but my whiteboard, I'm holding up to the camera and I'm waving. I think I have an image of that later in the slides. And it's very personalized, and I'm talking to them about their particular needs before I call them. And the reason for that is that they watch that video first. When I call them, their brain's going to tell them that they already know me. They've already met me. They've already had essentially a face-to-face conversation because the human brain can't tell the difference. That's the truth of this situation, right? And so that's very powerful, right? Now they're answering the phone for somebody they've already met. You already have a relationship, and it does happen that fast. In fact, it was kind of funny. I was at my bachelor party this weekend, and a bunch of my friends came together. And anytime you've brought a bunch of different groups of friends together, it can be a little bit awkward. People meeting each other for the first time. And it was really funny because one of the gentlemen there, who I've known for a long time, didn't know any of these other guys, but they all saw him and they said, you know what? I really feel like I know you. You look really familiar to me. And it happened multiple times. And it turned out it was because This friend and I had been doing a live show on Facebook for many years. He was in only part of it. He was only in the ends of these episodes. So my friends would have had to have watched sort of whole episodes of this to even get a chance to see him. But a lot of them felt like they knew him. And it was just because they'd seen him in a couple of these videos, even for just a couple minutes, right? So it is crazy where this comes up. And we haven't done that show for 2.5 years. 2.5 years ago, that was as close as they could have seen this stuff, right? So it sticks with folks, right? So that's the power. So if I send that personalized video message and then I call them, that's the experience they're having. Now they've already met me, right? Now, I mean, I used to call leads all the time, right? I mean, if I could have left a voicemail for somebody and they would have listened to it and gone, oh yeah, that's Nick. I watched that video. He seems really friendly. I'm going to call him back. That would have been a huge deal back then, right? We're talking 10 years ago now when I was doing this stuff, but this is really powerful, right? So that's ideal. That's what I want to go with. But if I have to automate it, I can also automate it so they immediately get a video. It's not going to say their name, but it is going to happen automatically. And so really, if you could do both, I would do both, right? Get them that automated video right off the bat and then send something personalized later and then call them, right? Now they've had a chance to get to know you ahead of time and you're gonna have a much more productive conversation and they're a lot more likely to answer their phone. You could even say your phone number in the video so they look out for it or they immediately go save it into their phone and they see it when you call them, right? All kinds of cool opportunities here. So we're going to go into how to do both of these today. Obviously, that's what today's presentation is about. But to get started, you do need to think about which of these particular strategies are going to be more likely to implement as you go, right? One other thing I will mention while we're here is if you do want to ask any questions, just please put them in the chat or the Q&A. I know sometimes we see people raise their hands, but it's going to be a lot easier if you just put them in the chat or the Q&A section. And then I'll try to make sure that I answer them as they come through. I'll take a couple moments to sort of pause and then respond to them. So I've seen 2 questions so far. One was we are recording, right? So just if you did miss part of the presentation, we are recording this. We'll send it out to everybody who registered afterwards. When is the wedding? It's at the end of July 30th. So coming up here pretty soon. And then how do you think video marketing compares to hours of cold calling? So here's what I'll say on that. It doesn't compare at all because video is much more effective, I guess I would say. I mean, now I will say this, when it comes to cold calling, it depends on what you're doing, right? If you're going door to door and you're actually meeting people, that face-to-face conversation is very impactful, right? But it's also very disruptive. I used to do a lot of door-to-door marketing. I'll be honest, I've knocked on many thousands of doors in my career, and most of it was for paint jobs. In college, I actually worked for a company and we painted houses and trained a bunch of other kids to run their own painting businesses. And that was our primary form of marketing. And since you're a college kid, people are pretty understanding. You're kind of out there hustling, but it's not nice to knock on somebody's door in the middle of dinner. We know that's disruptive, right? So in that sense, I'm not saying don't do it if that's what you're doing. By all means, you approach your business how you are, but video is less disruptive, right? If I send somebody a text with a video link, or if I send them an email with a video in it, they can watch it when they want to, versus having to watch it right when they get it, like a phone call or a door knock. So in that sense, it is very different. I'm not sure that you can traditionally cold call with video, right? I mean, now I guess if you have their phone numbers, you could text them a video. They're going to be a little wary about clicking a link from a completely unknown person. So that's why this particular presentation is not about lead gen. It's about lead conversion, right? We're assuming you have the lead in this situation. But if you have the person's contact information in some form, you should try to use videos, right? Because if they do, however it is, watch that video of you, the impact it has in their brain, the way that they feel like they know you now is totally different. And that is very powerful, right? So again, not quite the thrust of today's presentation, but anywhere you can incorporate video into what you're doing is going to be more effective. I've seen that happen in just literally hundreds of different scenarios. Which is why I always talk about this, is think of it as a way to talk to people. Think of it as a form of communication and then find where you can use it, right? All right, so let's get into talking through some of how to do this. Let's start with one-to-one video, right? First of all, what is a one-to-one video? Very straightforward. A one-to-one video is a video of you. You're going to be in it, right? Sometimes that's intimidating. I get it, but you're going to be in it. And it's only sent to a single person. So that should take a lot of the pressure off, right? One of the scariest things about getting started with video is that most people recommend you start with the most complicated form of video, which is a public performance, right? It's something you're going to put out on TikTok or YouTube or social media. those are great uses of video, but not a good place to start because you don't know who's going to see it, right? It'd be like if the first time you were ever going to try teaching someone something, the first time in your entire life was that you're going to walk into an auditorium and teach it to an unknown number of people, right? You don't know who they are. You don't know where they're coming from. You don't know how many are going to be there. It might be 5, and that might be embarrassing how few showed up. It might be 1,000,000. I mean, who knows, right? Like that is intimidating. So start here instead, right? Start with 1-to-1 video messages, right? It's one person, you're only talking to that one other person. And the only chance they're going to show it to somebody else is if you say some valuable information and they want to share it with their spouse or, their sibling or something like that, right? It's a much more comfortable environment and it doesn't require production, right? It doesn't require perfect lighting. It doesn't require perfect audio. It's very low pressure. Here's the thing. If I get a video message from you and it's too highly produced, I'm going to wonder why you put so much work into it if you were basically just calling me. That's the equivalent, right? Is you're shooting me a call. It doesn't need to be overthought, right? So that's what I love about this one-to-one stuff. It's going to be personalized. You're going to want to say the person's name. You're going to want to use information that they've sent to you. So if they opted in on your website and they said, I'm looking for a 2-bedroom home and 2-bath, whatever it might be, you can say that stuff in the message, right? That's going to make it feel very personalized. And one of the cool things about video versus other current forms of communication is a lot of people are conditioned to think that emails are automated, texts are automated, even phone calls. A lot of times when you get a voicemail and your phone didn't ring, for instance, right? A lot of times you end up thinking, this is probably just some sort of pre-recorded nonsense. When you see a video and it's got your name in it and it's talking about the specifics of what you're looking for, there's no doubt that that video was recorded just for you, right? That is white glove treatment. That is personalized service. And if you signed up on a website and then they sent that lead to 4 or 5 different agents and you got 4 phone calls saying, hey, call me back when you can, and one person sent you a video message with their smiling face waving and talking about your name and what you needed and all that kind of stuff, which one are you going to want to work with, right? Which one of these are you going to feel like took the time and the effort and actually cares about what you're doing? But here's the funny thing. It didn't actually take you any more time, right? It's just a different form of communication. So that is the other real advantage here is that in the next few, I don't know. I mean, the market's shifting. So a lot of agents are going to start trying new things to try to increase their business or even try to maintain their business over the next 6 to 12 months, right? So I used to say, if it was a year ago, I'd say, hey, 3 to 5 years from now, you're going to see a lot of people start to use this stuff. If the market shifts enough, you're going to see a lot of people start to use it in the next 6 months, right? So get ahead of them. Start doing it now. Differentiate yourself. Get your practice in while it's still sort of not that competitive. And then you're going to be in the lead. You'll be better at these things. You'll be more comfortable doing them. You'll do them more frequently. You'll do them more naturally, right? And you'll keep that advantage. Like that's the beauty of video right now is that nobody's going to avoid this stuff. It is just going to be one of the significant ways we talk to each other over the coming years. The people that started sooner will be more comfortable, more confident, and that will come across, right? So it's a way to really differentiate yourself today, but by starting now, you're also going to have this advantage built in for many years to come, which is a very powerful thing, right? So as you get into this, when you're first starting to send these messages, we're going to talk through some of the ways to do it and all that kind of stuff, even some scripts for you today. But here's the most important part. Do not overcomplicate this, all right? In fact, I don't want you to be thinking at all about the quality or the angle or the lighting or the sound or any of that stuff, right? Maybe you record one and listen back to it just to make sure you can understand what you said. So it's, maybe there's not, just make sure there's not a glitch in your device or something like that. But that's it. Don't make it any more complicated than that. I will tell you, the number one thing I see holding agents back from using video over the years is that they make it harder than it has to be. They tell themselves they need some equipment or they need to learn a certain skill set or whatever it is. And there's plenty of equipment. There's plenty of skill sets to learn, but it's just like the first time you go to the gym, okay? When you walk into the gym for the very first time, you've never lifted weights or done any exercises in your entire life. You don't go in, find the biggest guy there, lifting the biggest weights, doing the most complex workouts and do the exact same thing because you will hurt yourself, right? I mean, hopefully you won't even be able to pick the weights up to hurt yourself because you can't even lift them, right? So you don't end up hurting yourself, but you get the idea is that we're not going to do that. We're going to start with the simple version. We're going to start with low weight. We're going to start with technique. We're going to start with just getting the form down. We're going to build on that. So we should do the same thing with video, right? Start very simple with just your phone, no equipment necessary, and then build on it. And you'll find that for all the stuff we're talking about here today, that should be plenty. You don't need to overcomplicate this, all right? Now, what do you say, right? Now, here's the thing. I'm gonna tell you a little bit of a secret here, and this might be disappointing. I'll be honest, right? There is no secret. That's the secret. The secret is you're going to say whatever it is you currently say. All right. Whatever it is you say in that phone call, you're going to say the same freaking thing. Whatever you would have said in a voicemail, because obviously, you're not going to have the back and forth dialogue because it's pre-recorded, but everything you would have said in a voicemail, if that person didn't answer, you're going to say the same sorts of things in this video. Okay. The innovation, the advantage you're going to have is not from what you're saying. It's from the fact that you're using video. Now, when I do this training in a couple of years, we're going to have to talk more about what you say because more agents will be using video at that point, right? But because you're here now, you don't have to worry about that. You just have to say what you're already saying, right? So this is an example. You, by all means, take a quick shot of this if you don't want to go back and watch the recording later, right? But this is not anything fancy, right? So in this case, obviously, we're assuming the client's name is Susan. Adjust that depending on what their name actually is. But I'd say, hi, Susan. Thanks so much for reaching out and congratulations on your new home search. I wanted to send you a quick video to introduce myself. I'm Nick Niehaus with ABC Realty. I'd love to connect with you soon over the phone or Zoom to ask a couple quick questions and talk about how we can help you find the right home for your needs. Shoot me a text back with some times you're free today or tomorrow, and we'll go from there, right? Super simple. In this case, this one doesn't even have the details of their home in it. Obviously, you should include that if you have that information, but you don't always, right? But all we're going for here is that this is it's an introduction, and it's an introduction in a way that no other form of communication allows other than being in person, right? So this is the impact this has is like they walked into a room, like they were going to a networking meeting, and you're standing there at the front door and you shook their hand, right? This is about a 30-second video. It's very simple. Excuse me. I'll take a quick drink right now. Getting over a little bit of a cold still. Sorry about that. And so what you're going for here is you just want to come across as somebody that would be friendly to meet, right? You want to come across as somebody that seems comfortable, that seems friendly, that seems confident, maybe a little bit. Be yourself. That's all it really comes down to, right? So here's the reality. This is the cool thing about video, kind of getting on a little bit of a tangent for a second, but video makes it very easy to understand what that person is like, right? So if you're a pretty somber person, if you're sort of low energy, typically, you don't have to overdo that here, right? You don't have to over exaggerate. You don't have to be way more friendly than you normally would, right? You should just be yourself. And here's what will happen is that some people are going to decide, not the right agent for me. That's fine, right? There are going to be some people who are not the right fit for you. If our goal was to convert 100% of our leads, we wouldn't be able to do it. It's just not going to ever really be possible, right? So it's not about trying to get every single person to respond and be excited to work with you. It's about showing them who you are and giving them the opportunity to decide, right? So if you are really bubbly and you're friendly and you like to make jokes and all that kind of stuff, then be that way in this first video message. The people who like that are going to be stoked. They're going to call you back right away and go, oh my God, I'm so happy I reached out because you're just the agent I need, right? People who are a lot more straight-laced and, don't like to be around people that are that energetic, they're not going to want to work with you, and that's okay, right? But they may ask for a referral. Maybe you can still make a chunk of money off of it because, again, you're the one communicating through video. Now, I don't say that to scare you. You will get more people from your database to be excited to work with you, right? Because they're getting a chance to see you and get to know you ahead of time. But it will also mean you find better fit. You're going to find more of the right clients and just a few less of the wrong ones. And I'll tell you from my personal experience, sometimes avoiding one or two of the wrong clients is worth several of the right clients, right? Just in terms of the headaches that ends up reducing for us in the long term. So again, you're doubling your lead conversion. You're getting twice as many people to work with you, but you're also getting more of the right people and less of the wrong ones, which I think is really, really cool. So just, again, focus on being genuine, be yourself, and you're going to get the results you want. What you say is not super important, right? All right. So who do we have here on the call from Beach Cities Properties in Long Beach? Oh, okay. Well, anybody that's from Beach City Properties. Sorry, I guess not a question for me, but we'll keep going here. So from there, what do you do next, right? So let's say you've gotten started, you sent that first video. You're not always going to convert on that first contact, right? So one of the key rules you want to remember with lead conversion is, number one, get in touch with the lead immediately, right? So obviously the rule is usually call within 5 minutes. I've heard call within 2 minutes, right? I mean, if you do that, your chance of converting is much higher. Same thing with video. quick. And that's part of why you want to make it a short video, right? Because you can get it done and get it over to them that much faster. But what do you do next? Because not everybody's going to respond right away. Some people aren't ready to move. Some people just have stuff going on, whatever it might be. It doesn't really matter why they don't respond right away. But what do we do next, right? Well, there's a lot of things you can do next, but what I'm going to recommend here is that you try to come from contribution, right? Try to always be providing some sort of additional value. Don't necessarily just reach out and ask for something, right? Hey, it's been a while. Why haven't you called me yet? Now, I'm not saying any of you are doing that, right? I mean, most of us know that it's usually best to sort of offer something, but especially with video, because video is intimate, the more you can offer through video, the sort of more meaningful the message is, the more worthwhile it was for them to watch the video in the first place, the more likely they are to like you and then want to work with you, right? So some examples, and you've probably heard these before, would be things like offering them to set them up for an online home search with alerts, send a list of upcoming open houses. So again, what you're saying in this video is not, here's the list, you're offering to send the list. I always like to make it a sort of a back and forth conversation. So my video would say, hey, I'd love to get you set up with this customized search. Here's what it would look like, right? Here's what's so cool about video. You can show them, right? You can eliminate uncertainty in a way that you can't with other forms of communication. So if I go, I'm going to send you a bunch of a custom home search with some results. Do you know what that means? Like, they don't necessarily know what that means. Maybe that means a text every single day with a list of 50 homes. Oh, that sounds overwhelming, right? Or maybe it means every 2 months, I'm going to get one email with a couple houses in it. I don't know what that means yet, right? I don't know what it means to have it customized for me. Does that mean just the geographic area? Does it mean, the number of bedrooms? Maybe I don't want just 2-bedroom. Maybe I want 3-bedroom as well, right? So what you can do here is you can pull it up on your screen. You can record your screen at the same time and show them what it's going to look like. Well, here's where I enter 2 homes, okay? Or sorry, 2 rooms. But if you want 3, I can also do that. See, we can adjust it, right? And here's where I enter this, and here's where I enter your area. This is all generic at this point. It doesn't have to be their information yet. So this could even be a pre-recorded video. You send it all the same video to multiple people, right? And then you say, look, so this is the report you would get. It would have all these different homes. You would get this every so often, yada, yada. If you want this, let me know, right? Now it means they have to respond to you. They have to continue the conversation. Chances are if they respond and they ask for that, now you got that lead in the conversion stage, right? Now you're starting to actually get that person to sign up with you as a customer. So anytime you can sort of position it that way, I think that's going to really help, right? You can offer to help them find a lender for their pre-approval, again, within the limits of the law. And then on the seller side, you got things like offer to swing by their house to give them some free advice on repairs and staging, offer a free CMA, again, could be the same video sort of reused over and over again, offer a list of reliable professionals, right? So again, what we're doing every time is we're offering it. We're not necessarily including it. That's up to you. If you want to just tack on, your list to that video message, that's fine too. And say, hey, it's attached already. Use it how you want. But again, a lot of times if I can turn that into getting them to respond and then asking for the thing, that's the way to go. Now, when they do respond and ask for it, send it to them. You don't have to add any additional hoops to jump through. But that's going to get the conversation and turn it into a 2-sided conversation, which is really powerful, right? So here's a couple more examples. I want to make sure you got several scripts here. Again, you're going to find that these are probably things you're already saying by email or by phone. But again, the point is just that it's a video. It doesn't have to be completely new, right? So in this case, you can see I'm holding up my whiteboard, right? We'll show you an example of what this looks like in practice in just a second. In this case, I'd be saying, hi, Susan, I'd love to set you up on a property search within the MLS. So you can view multiple, so you can look at, viewing homes online from the privacy of your home computer right now. Our team can input all the criteria you're looking for in your next home so that you can see all the homes currently listed in our area and get alerted on new homes that come on the market. That way you can see these newly listed homes as quickly as the real estate agents in our area get to see them. How does that sound? Hit reply and let me know, right? And again, this is where I would probably put that on the screen. I would probably actually show what I'm doing. I would show how it works. And that way they know exactly what they're going to get, right? And I will tell you, that is one of the coolest things about videos. I can eliminate uncertainty. If I can paint a picture for somebody, if I can show them in advance what they should expect, there is a much higher chance they will say yes, right? So that's what we want to do here. Now, here's an example on the seller side. This is, let's see, during the home process, many homeowners invest money in improving or updating the property. It can be easy to overspend or invest in the wrong things, and I don't want you to run into that issue. I'm very familiar with what buyers are looking for in this market and would love to save you the time and money and hassle. And then let's schedule an appointment for me to do this quick walkthrough and figure out where you should spend your money and whatnot. Would that be a benefit to you? Hit reply and let me know. Okay. Again, I'm not reading this like quite exactly how I would say it into the camera because I need to read it on the screen, obviously. But you can see these are not complicated, right? We're just providing something of value. And I think that's really important here. I think it's important to understand that we are not yet at the point with video where you have to get cute. Okay. This is not about doing something that is a cutting edge script that nobody's ever tried that's going to cut through the noise. Like, that's not the idea. The idea is that you're communicating using a better form of communication. It's that simple. And it's important you keep it that simple, right? Because this becomes an excuse otherwise. Well, I don't have my script today, so I can't respond with a video. I guess I just got to make a phone call or send them a text, right? We don't want to have those excuses. And I can tell you, I've worked with thousands of agents. Those are the kinds of excuses that always come up, right? The things that are always telling us, we need to do this a certain way, so I'm not going to do it right now, right? That is not the point. So the point is, keep it simple and just get it done. The fact that you're using video is what matters, right? So that gives you just a few different ideas here. We got, let's see, a comment coming thing to stay in 20 find homes for sale online anywhere. Nothing unique from the sea of other agents. So I will basically find homes for sale online anywhere, and they'll need to see any. Okay, so that is true. They can find their own home, right? But it doesn't matter. It's not what you're offering. If they don't want what you're offering, it doesn't matter. It's that they watched a video of you, right? That's all that matters here. So again, it's not what you're saying. It's the fact that you're saying it through video. It's giving them a chance to see you. It's giving them a chance to feel what it's like to have a conversation with you. And as long as what you're offering is something that could be of value to them, hypothetically, they're not going to care if they could already find this stuff. I know we can go on Zillow and you can save your searches and all that kind of stuff. That's not the point. The point is that they're seeing you, right? So again, just keep that in mind. It's all about the form of communication here. Now, let's talk about how to get this video over to them, right? Because that may seem easy, but there are some really key things to keep in mind here. The first is that if you're going to send a text or an email, you got to be careful about directly including a video. All right. That's oftentimes not going to work in all cases. In some cases, it will, right? So if you text between an iPhone, Android to Android, and I send a video file, a lot of times it will come through. It'll be pretty high quality. I can hear the person, see the person, not too many issues, right? If I try to send an email, I will have similar success in some cases and not others, right? So if I try to text between an Android and an iPhone, all of a sudden it goes out the window, right? Now all of a sudden my video gets compressed. It's very hard to hear. I mean, I've done this before. I literally can't understand the person. It's so compressed in some cases, right? The problem is we don't always know what kind of phone somebody has. Same thing with email. If I try to attach a larger video file, even if it's a short video, a lot of times they end up being pretty big. It might not get delivered. I might have deliverability issues, all kinds of different stuff, right? Now, I will say this right here. Video is complicated. It's a new form of communication, and we are not in a world that's fully built for it yet, right? It is transitioning to that. Obviously, it's part of why Zoom took off to such an extent during the pandemic, is that we started to realize, hey, these video tools are really, really helpful, but we're not quite to the level of complete ease and perfection yet, right? A few more years, we probably will be. We probably will get to a point where you can text anybody with video, no problem. So in the meantime, what do we need to do to make sure it gets through, right? Well, the first one I'm going to suggest to you is to consider using video tools for both email or text, right? So what are examples of those? BombBomb is the most popular in the real estate industry, right? So if you ever used BombBomb, BombBomb is one of these tools. I personally like to use a tool called Vidyard, Vidyard, but both of them are great options. We'll talk more about those in just a second here. But the big thing I want to point out, there's sort of a couple things that these tools do that are very powerful, right? Number one is they're going to host your video on their website. So that means that when that person receives the link, they are not going to have to watch it directly in the text or the email. So the compression issue, the file size issue, those all go away. You don't have to worry about that anymore, right? The other thing they do, and this is really where it makes it very powerful to use these tools, is they create this preview here, right? So I don't know if my head is blocking that depending on your view right now, but you can see this is an example, right? So this is me sitting, here in this chair. It's basically very similar sort of setup, right? and I've got the person's name on the board. In this case, speaking of somebody named Ronnie, right? Think about that. That's a preview of the video. That's the first 3 seconds of the video that's playing over and over as a GIF. Now, when they get that text to the email, that's what they see, right? Now, it doesn't always work in every single case, but think about how powerful that is. If you signed up on a bunch of different agents' websites and you got 4 phone calls and you got 1 text or email with somebody smiling with your name on a whiteboard and waving at you, which of those is going to stand out to you, right? Which of those you're going to be more likely to sort of engage with and look more into, right? Now, there are some people that are going to be a little bit uncomfortable clicking on those links. You may want to explain what it is. Hey, I know this is a little bit new, but I decided to send you a video message. Here's the link to access it. Here's the preview so you can know what it is. But you're always going to have that stuff, right? So you still may want to call or follow up with a voicemail or some other sort of contact as well, right? But that's very powerful. Now I can see that my name is in the video. I know that this was something made just for me, right? So those tools, very useful, very powerful, highly recommend them. What else though? Are there other options? Well, yes, there are, right? You can use messenger apps. Now you got to be connected to the person for this to really work, right? So if it's a referral, this is much more useful than if it's a cold lead, because you're probably not Facebook friends or Instagram followers with those people, right? But all of those apps have the ability to record a video built in, which is very handy, right? So for instance, if it is a referral and I'm connected to this person on Facebook, I can just go to their Facebook profile on my phone, click the send message button. It's going to open up Facebook Messenger, and I can hold down the record button inside of the Messenger app and record my video and send it over, right? That's going to work on all these. So Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, WhatsApp, Snapchat, all these different platforms, WeChat, you're going to be able to do this with the app directly, right? And then the last one, and this is probably the most tedious, but I do mention it because some of you are probably very familiar with these tools already, is to just record the video and upload it to a platform of some kind, right? So Dropbox or Google Drive is going to allow you just to send the link directly to the person, make sure the sharing is turned on so that they can actually see it. If you put it on YouTube, you can put it up as either a private or unlisted video and then share it with them, right? If it's unlisted, they'll only be able to see it if they have the link to it. Otherwise, it won't show up on your channel. So there are ways to do it that are free, use existing tools, but they are tedious. The beauty of things like BombBomb and Vidyard is that there's literally an app on the phone. I can open it up, I can hit record, I can say my message, hit stop, click the share button, and then open either an email or a text and fire it off, right? It's very, very easy to use, which, again, a lot of times this stuff is going to come down to what's the most efficient way to get something done. If it's the quickest, if it's the easiest, you're going to be done like that, right? And that's really the key you're looking for is efficiency, right? You don't want any sort of excuse to hold you back here. So let's talk about these two tools for just a second, right? We're going to talk about Vidyard and BombBomb. Now, I will say this, BombBomb was obviously built for the real estate industry. That is the industry they tend to focus on the most. You've probably heard of it before. You maybe used it before. For that reason, you may want to go with it, especially if you have some experience, right? Now, Vidyard is one that we tend to recommend because it has a free version. And I don't just mean a free trial. You can actually use it for up to 25 videos for free, which is pretty cool, right? So when you're first getting started, you don't have to spend any money right out the gate. So I know some folks that bought BombBomb and paid for 6 or 12 months and never used it, and they would have probably appreciated having a free version, right? Now, on the other hand, if that's going to mean you just procrastinate that much longer, maybe you should start spending some money, right? Because sometimes spending money is what gets us to take action. So Vidyard, you're going to have the free option. After that, it's only $15 a month for the basic plan. BombBomb free trial. After that, it's $33, right? They work very similar. So you're going to be able to record. You're going to be able to create this animated preview. BombBomb is going to give you virtual backgrounds. Vidyard allows you to blur your background. Plus, there's a low light tool. Very similar, though, overall. They got apps. They got browser extensions. I will say Vidyard has more editing features. So you can trim the video. You can actually cut pieces out in the middle, which tends to be very helpful if you stutter a word or two, like that was literally example, right? You can go in and trim those things out if you need to. And then on BombBomb, the one big advantage it has is that it actually has mass email capabilities, very rudimentary. There's only some templates and they're fairly basic, but you can send mass emails to your customers if you need to. Otherwise, they're pretty much the same, right? So they are very similar. I personally, at this point, have been using Vidyard over BombBomb relatively regularly, but lots of different options out there. Let's see. What do you think about Warm Welcome as a platform? And then how about Loom? I don't know Warm Welcome, so I unfortunately can't comment on that one. But here's the truth. Doesn't matter what platform you use. Check your email deliverability. So just make sure that the platform you're using is getting your emails into the actual inbox and not spam. That's the only thing I've ever seen sort of be a problem with some of these tools. But otherwise, if you're familiar with it, just use it, right? I mean, it's up to you. Obviously, I try to know as many of these tools as I can. And then how about Loom? I am a little more familiar with Loom. Loom is a great alternative as well, right? So I try not to recommend too many different tools because otherwise you just get confused and people don't know what direction to do. So usually my maximum is 2, and the 2 on the screen are the ones I'm talking about today. But I will say that I do think Loom can be pretty good. Hippo videos allow for individual personalization while sending to multiple people. Cool. So lots of good options out there. And just a quick, this is like a literally 30-second tour of the Vidyard app, just in case you have any questions. When you go to record, you have the button here to record. You can record using the selfie camera or the camera on the back of your phone. You can also click here to upload a video you've already recorded. So that is also an option with the app. You can also do that on the computer as well. Once you finish recording, you give it a title. You can re-record if you need to, delete if you need to. And if it looks good, you click looks good. Takes you to this final screen where then you can click on this or this to send by email or to send by any other option on your phone, including text, right? So if you want to send it through one of those messenger apps, you can actually send it directly through using one of those buttons, right? So very, very simple, which is a good thing, right? We want to be using tools that are very easy to implement and get started with, all right? All right, so I know we've been through a lot already today. We got about 20 minutes left. I do want to just put this up on the screen for just a second, and I'm also going to put some links into the chat so that you just have all this information all at once here, right? But what I want to do, invite you to do is take your phone out for just a second, and I will say right now, just do this now. I mean, I know it's always tempting to kind of, I'll come back to it later. Just do it now because otherwise you're going to forget, right? So just take your phone and you open up the photo setting and point it at the screen, all right? And once you do that, it should pop up and it should actually show you a URL on your screen. You can click on that URL. So let me show you what you're going to find when you get there. And again, that's the same QR code. So if you're still scanning, just go ahead and scan that one now. You're going to see a bunch of different free stuff that we offer from Business Video School. So my mission in this business and just kind of become my personal mission as well is to help people, not just real estate agents, but that's our kind of specialty, but to help people learn to make the transition to video, right? This is the new way to talk to each other. And it's also going to help you probably communicate more effectively with your kids if you have them, because a lot of them are dialed into this already. They're already communicating through video, right? And so all this stuff you see here is all kinds of free stuff we offer, right? I mean, we obviously have a paid membership. I'd love for you to come check out our school because we can help you that much more, but I want to give you as much free offers as we can and help you in any way we can, right? So I'm not going to go over everything you'll see on our free offers page. But I would highly recommend you get at least one of these things, right? A lot of times people sign up for multiple, and that's totally fine as well. But you're going to see a lot of different value. The one that corresponds the most to today's conversation is either going to be the home studio, because we're going to help you set up a pretty professional quality home studio for under $350, or the guide to generating 10 leads in 10 weeks through video messaging, right? So it's a similar topic. It's not obviously the exact same. Today we're talking about conversion. That one's more about generation. So for those of you that had some questions about lead gen, that could be a really great guide to download, right? All right, second half of this is the automations. And I will be honest, most of you should start with the stuff we already talked about. So don't worry too much about automations when you're getting going. But if you have a team, or if you have a brokerage, or if you're an agent that's doing many transactions a month and you have so many leads coming in that it's hard for you or somebody on your team to get a hold of them in a personalized sense, automations can be really helpful in that case. And they also go really well hand in hand, right? So the idea here is that as soon as somebody signs up with me, they're going to start seeing videos of me, right? And that's very powerful, right? Think about retargeting on the internet. Have you ever been to Amazon and you're looking at a pair of shoes and you're not quite sure if you want them or not, and you leave and you go to another website and all of a sudden that pair of shoes is following you around the internet? It's a little creepy, right? We all pretty familiar with this stuff retargeting now. Well, imagine how powerful it is if you signed up on somebody's website. And again, they're signing up. This is not as creepy as following them around when they didn't opt in, right? So they signed up and then immediately they're starting to see you everywhere they go. That's very powerful, right? That's not going to be happening for a lot of your competition. So this is a very useful tool. There's sort of two ways in my mind that are maybe the most useful to do this. And that's going to be using ads to retarget your prospects or building an email or text automation, right? So they're immediately getting a text or they're immediately getting an email. And using those tools to automate some of this, right? So let's talk about how this would work and sort of how to do it for a few minutes, right? So first of all, let's talk about the sort of belief or philosophy behind it. And this is really important. I want you to understand this. One of the things you have to realize with video is that when you put a video of yourself in front of someone, that is a personal experience. This is more intimate than other forms of communication, right? You can see them. It's like they're actually there in front of you, or like you're actually there in front of them is what I should be saying, right? And so what I really want you to remember here is that you have to keep that in mind. You have to continue to try to build the relationship, right? It's not about the transaction. It's a real person. You're trying to get to know them. They're trying to get to know you, and you need to try to focus on that. So focus on providing value, right? Very similar to the personalized stuff. Obviously, when it's personalized, you can see why that's even more important. But I'm doing the same thing here, right? So I want to entertain. I want to educate. I want to show my personality. Now, if you're going, oh, I can educate all day, but I can't entertain, that's okay. Do the things that are you, right? If you're really good about helping people understand the transaction, but you're not going to make any jokes, that's okay, right? You don't have to force this stuff. You don't have to look or feel like your other competitors, right? Just be yourself. Now, you want to make sure that you continue to put this stuff in front of them, right? So again, you can use paid ads or video, emails or text to do this. But the thing you want to keep in mind here is you have to stay in front of the same people over time, right? So as you get the leads, it's not just, oh, I'm going to show them one or two emails and then I'm done, or I'm just going to show them ads for a day or two and then move on. I actually want to stay in front of those people in a lot of cases as long as it takes, right? Now, there's a frequency here. I don't want to put a new video in front of them every day for 2 years. That's probably going to be a little bit more than's necessary, right? So you can decide how kind of frequently you want to have those touches come through, but you got to keep doing it, right? Because here's what's happening is every single time they watch another video from you, they feel like they just had another little conversation, right? Let me ask you this. If you've met somebody once and you've had one conversation with them, if they called you, you might be willing to answer the phone, right? You're going to recognize who they are. If you've had 5 conversations, you've run into them 5 times, you've gotten to know them in 5 different situations, you're going to be that much more likely to answer their phone call, right? In fact, there's probably some of your friends that you've only really met maybe 10 or 15 times over the past few years, right? So it doesn't take that much in the end to get to a point where this person is very familiar with you. They really have gotten to know you. And so if you stay in front of them and you continue to do this and you continue nurturing and building that relationship, that's going to be when they convert, right? So stay in front of the same people. And the last thing I'll say here on the philosophy part of this is give them options to take action-oriented steps, okay? So give them lots of opportunities to choose, take the next step with you, invite them to events, offer them downloadable guides, give them a way to opt in automatically for an appointment with you. We'll talk about that more in just a second, but the more options you give them to take those next steps, the more likely they are to do so, right? Now, we could talk about strategy all day. We're going to keep this really simple for now because this isn't what this presentation is about, but we want to make sure that we're providing, again, value, right? So show what makes you different. Show I'll tell you what, testimonial videos, one of the absolute best things you can do, because if you can get someone else to say good things about you, that is so much more powerful than you bragging on yourself, right? Agents all the time. Oh, I sold this many houses. Oh, we did this much volume. I don't care. If your client comes on and said you did a great job for them, that's cool. I want to see that, right? But instead, we just see agents bragging about their numbers all the time. Like, that's not really telling me that you're going to do a good job for me, right? I want to see your clients tell me that because they actually experienced it, okay? So that's a huge opportunity. You start putting testimonial videos in front of folks, you're going to convert more leads, right? Educational content, and then again, deepen the interaction. We already talked about that, right? Give them opportunities to come interact with you and get to know you better, right? All right, one more video example. This is just part of one. I'll be honest, this is a little bit of a tease. So One of the things that we do in business video school is that we provide what we call video recipes. What a video recipe is it's all the ingredients that you need to make a professional, polished video of yourself, right? So you might be thinking, oh man, this is all great, but it would be nice if I had a script of each of these, printed out in front of me. It'd be nice if I had an example of somebody else making the same video that I can just imitate. It'd be nice if I had instructions on how to make that specific video using a teleprompter app where all I have to do is take the script, put it in and record it and just read it back into the camera. It'd be nice if the email or the text or the social media post that goes with the video is already written for me. That's what video recipes are. All right. So I'm only mentioning this because right now Business Video School doors are open. We only open our doors for new students once per month for about a week. Usually it's sort of the last full week of the month. So it runs through the end of the day on Monday. But we are open right now. And I do think I included a link in the chat for attending our open house on Monday. So if you are curious about coming to learn more about us, I would jump in there and check that out because video recipes, we have about 100. I think we're over 100 at this point that are currently available, and we make a new one every single week for our students. So if you feel like that would be helpful in implementing video in your business, go over and check us on out. All right. Now, in terms of how you get these videos, excuse me, to the people that need to see them, we talked about different ways to do it. Email or text automation. Now, here's what I will tell you. Most of you probably work for companies that offer a tool that does this, or you're already paying for a tool that does it. So use those tools. You don't have to go out and find something new, right? ActiveCampaign, Dub, MailChimp, these are all tools that will allow you to upload your emails and your texts and create automations, and that's all great, but use what you have. If you have any kind of automation tool that you're already implementing, use that, right? One of the partners we work with a lot is called Real Estate Nexus. It's a big technology platform with lots of different marketing tools. They have these kinds of tools available, right? So there's all kinds of different ways to go. But again, I would recommend using the one you already have. And then, let's talk about the evil empire for just a minute here. Facebook. I'm not really happy with Facebook at the moment. I won't get into the details, but let's just talk about some of the power of the ads here for just a second. And I will say, there's a point where TikTok ads will become this powerful tool, and I'll probably switch to talking about them because they're eating Facebook's lunch right now. It's just to be honest about where things are happening with video. But here's the thing I want you to understand. This is all that really matters is that top option, right? You need to find an advertising platform. Facebook happens to be one. So is Google, right? So they're both options for you here, but there are other third-party tools that work as well that will allow you to target your customers with ads, in particular video ads, right? And so here's what you're going to do. You're going to use a tool called Zapier, all right? Now, we don't have time to necessarily demonstrate this today, so I apologize for, I wasn't going to be able to demonstrate it either way, right? But if I could, I would. But what Zapier allows you to do, which is really cool, is you can take the leads, they hit your database. Immediately, Zapier has something you put up, you sort of set up in advance, it's actually not that hard to do, that then takes that lead and integrates it with the custom audience list on Facebook ads, right? I believe it'll also work with Google, although I haven't tried that one personally. So what that means is that as soon as that person opts in on your website, they are now in a targeting audience on these platforms. And that means that they will immediately, if they go on Facebook or Instagram, or they hit one of the websites that partners with these companies to show their ads, they're going to immediately see you, right? As soon as they log in. So imagine if you got a lead and that person then hops there, they're just signing up on your website. Maybe it was even a Facebook ad that drove them to your website in the first place, right? They get on there, they sign up, and then boom, they go back to Facebook, and there you are talking to them about real estate, right? That's obviously going to help you convert more of those leads. Right now, I mean, by the time you call them, they may have already watched one or two of your videos, and they've already gotten to know you that much more, right? So very, very powerful stuff. Just to give you a few examples of other things you can do with these types of ads, you can do people who have engaged with you with your Facebook or Instagram page, with different Facebook events, with any videos you put out. So, I mean, honestly, sometimes I'll run I'll run Facebook advertising campaigns or where I just show a series of videos, right? And if once they watch the first one, they see the next one, they see the next one, and ultimately over time that converts them as a customer for us, right? So just a quick reminder, I've seen some hands raised. If you do have a question, you will have to put it in the chat. There is no other way for us to communicate because this is a Zoom webinar. So if you do have a question, if you'd like to chat more, make sure to just go down to the bottom of the chat and submit your question or your comment there, and I'd be happy to answer it for you. And thanks for being here. I appreciate it. So I know this was as a gift of your time. I'm happy to do it. I appreciate everybody joining us today, especially all the engagement and the questions. This was a really a fun time, so I appreciate it. Thank you for your time, and I will see you all later. Thanks so much for joining me.